Time for Dart Talk. Brought to you by thedartzone.com. Stay in the zone. TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor, and Windy City Fabricators, America's premier fabricators of orthotics and prosthetics, and Redwood Darts, America's newest tungsten darts. Stand straight and tall and hit them all. Redwood Darts. And now, here are your hosts, Mystery Mark and Steve P.
Welcome to Dart Talk.
Welcome.
We're here.
It's like turning back the clock.
It's on a Wednesday.
It is.
Dogs and cats living together. It's insane. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I want to know how you made that one putt, though.
Which one?
The long roadmap one.
The one out from the bunker, after the bunker?
Yeah.
Or
it was, what, 50 feet?
No, it was about 30 feet, but it broke about 5 feet. And it just like dropped right into the cup.
Your putter weighs more than the average man's sledgehammer.
It does.
And then you have this delicate touch, and they go in, and I'm just like, it freaks me out.
It's called the heavy putter for a reason.
You're making them with my putter. That's what I welcome everyone to my golf misery. We've been away for a while. We got to catch up on a lot of stuff. They had
about 3 weeks, I think.
Yeah, they had the bull shooter over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
The Premier League finished. They had the Dubai big tournament. That's like the outdoor one in the tents and stuff.
Okay. Is that done, or they just started that?
No, the Dubai one was the one where Van Gerwen threw the 10 on 80s.
Okay, so they just started that, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and that's done. And then this weekend they're doing the World Cup of Darts, the two-man team thing.
Right.
They also, Jeff Smith and Jimmy Widmer played in the BDO World Darts Trophy. The names of these tournaments are just so bland that I have a hard time remembering them. They don't have any zing. There's no zap. There's no sizzle. You don't sell the steak. You sell the sizzle.
There you go.
Let me just run a disclaimer, and then I won't have to apologize for misspeaking all of that. Where's the long one? Is that at the top?
That's it.
Okay. Why didn't it run?
Are we not plugged in?
No, we're plugged in. I think iTunes is like broken.
The views, opinions, rants, and rampages expressed on Dart Talk do not necessarily reflect individually or collectively those of our sponsors, co-sponsors, wannabe hosts, hearing-impaired critics, or those with a penchant for attitudinal dysfunction. We at Dart Talk strive to provide you, the listener, with an educational, entertaining, and fun-filled experience each and every week. If after the show you, the listener, find yourself feeling uneducated, unentertained, and or bored, we at Dart Talk consider that your own problem.
Okay, that little bit of business out of the way.
Yeah.
Did we do the brought to you by the Dart Zone?
I don't think so, no.
Dart Talk brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official console distributor with a brand new logo that I've not updated in our graphic.
Oh, there you go.
Because I am like so.
Spoiler alert.
Just a lot going on, man. A lot
A
going on.
brand new logo. You didn't even tell me about that.
I think I mentioned it like about a month ago. He never emailed me one or anything.
Oh,
so
all right.
I should probably be more proactive on some of this stuff. Have you played
When
it all?
can we expect this brand new logo?
It's on. We're efforting it as I speak. Have you played it all? Do you even know where your darts are?
Yeah, actually, I threw a little bit Monday night when it was dead at work, but it was more of that. It was just something to pass the 45 minutes. I didn't really do anything other than just chuck darts at the board.
I caught the what was it? The second Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, Chris Evans, who's now Captain America, is throwing darts overhand like a baseball. I'd totally forgotten that scene was in there.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I remember the movie, but I don't remember that scene.
At one point, like he sets one on fire, and then the board's on fire, so he has to douse it with a beer, and everybody at the bar is kind of looking at him. He's like, "I'll pay for that," and I'm like, maybe they can afford a board that doesn't have staples. There's a new board coming out this weekend.
Really?
Well, okay. Here's talking about selling the sizzle and not the steak. The PDC World Cup of Darts is this weekend. This is like the 2-man teams, right? So who was our team last year?
It was Larry and Darren, right?
Yes. Guess who our team is this year?
I would guess Larry and Darren.
Right. Guess who won last year?
Not Larry and Darren.
Well, no. But, I mean...
it was the Dutch.
No, it was the English.
No, it was the English.
Yeah.
They beat the Dutch?
I think the Dutch lost.
So
earlier.
who was it last? It was
I don't remember.
McNeil and
Part were the Canadians.
Yeah.
Guess who the Canadians are this year?
McNeil and Part.
Yeah.
And the
remember
English
that
were
Funawan dot whatever?
Yes.
He's in there too.
Okay.
Who's
playing for the English?
Phil Taylor and Adrian Lewis.
Okay.
Right, which is the same as last year.
Mm-hmm.
Guess who's playing for Scotland?
Van Gerwen and
for Scotland.
Oh, Scotland.
Yeah.
Gary
Anderson and Robert Thornton.
Okay.
Guess who played for Scotland last year?
Gary Anderson and Robert Thornton.
Right. The Dutch have Van Gerwen and Van Barneveld.
Yeah.
Guess who they had last year?
I'm guessing the same.
I mean, I saw the lineup and I thought I had the wrong year.
But why would the teams change? These are all the same guys.
Yeah.
Who's getting better than them?
Well, but I mean, then you're going to get the same results. I mean, the odds of the Americans winning last I looked was 300-1. I don't know what the odds were last year because last year I think they were kind of seeded in the second group. Now there's only one group of seeded.
But are you suggesting
countries.
There's other people that would increase their odds of winning?
The notion of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. Okay? Like last year I said, why don't they just have a tournament and then the top 2 guys go?
Right, I do remember that.
Right?
Yeah.
And then as it turned out, if I remember right, like Jay Tomlinson called up Darren Young and is like, well, you want to go on this thing? And Darren's like, yeah, sure. And that's how the team got picked. One guy making a phone call. So I'm not totally sold that this is like.
Is that how all the other teams are picked too?
I don't know. I mean, I would think that they're going by some sort of order of merit or something. I don't know why it's Robert Thornton instead of Peter Wright, but Peter Wright's citizenship is kind of mixed up, so he might be like considered English now. I don't know. Right? You take the top 2 PDC order of merit guys, and we don't have anybody on the order of merit anymore. Mm-hmm. So who do you pick? Well, I don't know. Who are the 2 best players? That's open to debate.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I'm pretty sure the first 2 names out of Larry's mouth are the guys that are going, or out of anyone's mouth are the guys that are going, right? But shouldn't you qualify somehow?
Well, I would think so.
Right? I
mean, I agree. I don't think it's any different than last year when you're saying there should be a qualifying tournament for it.
Well, look, if you're trying to generate interest and you're trying to, raise the profile or what have you, or get people interested, then, having a guy make a phone call at midnight isn't the way to do it.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. So it's just it's an opportunity to, do something. Maybe they took the top 2 finishers from the qualifier in Canada last August that you had to win to go get into the World Championships. I think they were the top 2 finishers, so maybe that's what they did. I don't know. It's weird. But it's an excuse to have an event and get people together and play for something and raise the profile of the sport.
Wright sat out from the chat.
Why? Who sat out from the chat? I'm
Peter
sorry.
Wright.
They don't know why Wright is sitting
out. Yeah.
The World Cup of Darts?
Yes.
Maybe he thinks it's rubbish. Maybe he needs a week off. I don't know. Seaside resort. I don't know what he does for a hobby. Hair design?
Okay.
I don't know. Parachute pants? Maybe he's going to make some new ones. I don't know. I mean, the event itself isn't designed that poorly. I just think it's like these guys are grinding it out week in and week out, and it's like I think taking some time off is probably a good idea. Mm-hmm. I mean, look at Nadal had to pull out of the French Open.
Right.
I mean, what's the off season for tennis when the first major's in January?
Yeah, there's not much.
And then in between, you got to play Davis Cup,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you can't even keep track of the Davis Cup. That is about the stupidest event in the history of like really absurd events. They're playing qualifiers, and then in some other country, they're playing the semifinal.
Oh, really?
I mean, yeah,
I've
these
never
Davis
tried.
Cup matches just show up.
The only thing I've ever just seen it on the scroll. So and so qualifies for Davis Cup, and it's like, but the actual Davis Cup isn't for 3 months.
Right. Yeah. And it's always like, doubles players that like you never heard of, right? It's not like the two best singles players play doubles. In Davis Cup, there's actually a doubles team, right? Usually. Like it used to be like McEnroe played doubles, but like the top guys really don't play doubles anymore.
No.
Like Federer and Nadal and Djokovic, I don't think plays doubles. I mean,
no,
Andy,
but yeah, it's like
you know what I mean.
If
It
you have
used
the
to be
two best singles players, then you're going to win because if your doubles lose, you're just going to. As long as you win your singles matches, you move on.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
And then you just hope you have a doubles team that could actually win.
I know that like tennis aficionados are fairly wealthy, right? And it's kind of a country club sport here in America. I don't know what it's like in Europe. So they must watch it, but I can't imagine Davis Cup ratings being like anything, right? How many people are going to watch a Davis Cup preliminary match?
That I can't. Yeah, I don't know.
At 2 a.m. somewhere. And yet this stuff continues, right? So
Somebody's got to be watching it.
I don't know. I wonder, what would the best doubles team be that you could put together with Americans?
Well, I mean, are you talking track record?
No, I'm talking.
Yeah,
I'm talking about guys
like,
that always,
guys that
kind of always play together. Like Tom Sawyer and Tom Curtin always used to play together, and they were a very tough doubles team. They, there's a certain amount of chemistry,
right?
That can be helpful.
Sure.
Like there are people you're comfortable playing with, people you're not comfortable playing with. You look at some of these guys, like from last year, where they're standing back, they're hoping the guy misses so they could like.
Don't you
mock
think
him.
Larry and Darren are comfortable playing with each other? They've done
as opposed to playing with someone else? I don't know. You'd have to ask him. I'm sure Darren would say, yeah, well, I'd play with anybody. Doesn't really matter. But I guarantee you that there are people that he's more comfortable playing with than others. Sure. I don't think he'd be too comfortable playing with me.
Well,
So anyway, so that's going on this weekend, and it'll be somewhat interesting, I guess. Somebody's going to end up getting upset. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, when push comes to shove, if the Dutch and the English aren't in the final, it's going to be like a huge...
Well, it's like the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, we could have skipped the season, right? Cleveland and Golden State.
Right.
Shocking. Oh, Cleveland actually won the East? Cleveland?
Big deal. Yeah, like who knew that was going to happen?
They could... and here I thought Toronto and Orlando and
Atlanta,
Milwaukee were going to somehow knock them off. Oh, please. What a waste of time.
But basically, it's,
on Twitter, I said the final is over.
If you don't have a rematch in the World Cup of Darts, it would be like Oklahoma City actually winning Game 7.
Yeah.
Which obviously didn't happen, but...
And I don't hate anyone. I'm not going to root against the Dutch or against the English. No. I mean, it's just sort of like... But you're watching the same guys play every single weekend, and that gets old. Right? You need some new blood. They're complaining the Premier League ratings were down. And I'm like, well, yeah. There's no suspense.
Right?
You're going to bet Taylor? You're going to bet Van Gerwen? Okay. Yeah, you can't make any money betting on Van Gerwen anyway because he's such a heavy favorite now. You couldn't make money betting on Taylor, really.
No, you have
steamrolling
to
everybody for
years.
A
little bit of money.
So I mean, where's the juice in the PDC right now?
Yeah.
Where's the
There's
real
no
suspense?
Parity. More parity.
Your parity. That's your solution. Well, maybe the new boards will be parity. There are people literally on the internet. And maybe I shouldn't go on the internet, who are basically still saying that the BDO players are better. They're just playing on boards with smaller targets. People still think this. And I'm just sort of like...
We covered that like a year ago.
Yeah, right. Well, okay, so the World Cup of Darts is going to use the new Eclipse board, the HD2. So maybe those targets will be, now they'll be similar to soft tip size segments. And now it's like if you miss a 1080, you're dropping a stroke to the field.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, of course.
Are the triples aren't any bigger on the Eclipse boards?
I haven't looked at them. I just know that some people are still arguing about this because they had the BDO World Trophy was over the weekend. Jeff Smith went out there. He was one and done, and it looked to me like his average was about 10 points lower than it was when he played in Lakeside. Looked like he averaged like a little under 90.
Okay.
Jimmy Widmeyer played. Looked like he averaged under 90. He was up 3-1, and then the guy took out a 136, and then just looking at the score sheet, you can't really say the guy fell apart, but
maybe they're putting the board a quarter-inch higher and nobody knows it.
I just remember the guy on Twitter saying that there were big magnets behind the Trip 20, and that's why the PDC guys hit so many triples. And I'm just sort of like, enough.
So the darts flag into the 555 and just take the right turn?
Yeah. Can you believe that?
Can you throw three triple 20s with your darts all on an angle to the left?
I guess in theory you could. I mean, I don't know what happens on the doubles. Right? Or do you just put like a little strong super magnet in the center of every segment?
You still have to hit your doubles.
Well, you can have magnets there too.
Right, no, but it's you still have to have some skill. You got to be able to hit your doubles. We'll give you all the get your points down low, but you still have to hit your doubles, and if you can hit them, you win.
Well, yeah.
You don't need magnets in the doubles.
Yeah, I just, what people say sometimes, I just kind of wonder what it's like to have a mind like that. Okay, so here's the other thing.
The huge conspiracy theorist
I'm not a huge one. There's certain things I'm not going to dismiss right away. I'm going to think about them and see if they make any sense. I mean, that one doesn't. You give people the benefit of the doubt. You're sincere in your belief, and here's your belief, and I think about it, and I'm like, I can't believe that. It's not within the realm of my...
Doesn't pass Steve's smell test.
Doesn't pass my smell test. Right. Okay, so here's where are we on time?
Oh, we're due for a break.
Are we due for a break?
Yeah.
Okay. I am going to leave you and the chat room with a question, and we will take a break, and then we will come back and bring on a guest because he's been waiting in the wings, and he can weigh in on this. So here's my question. It's a two-part question. A, is cricket the American game? That's part A of the question. Part B of the question is, where do all these people that know absolutely nothing about darts that show up in your local bar, how come they know how to play cricket?
Okay.
Okay.
I will mull on that.
Everybody mull on that. We'll be back in a minute. You're listening to Dart Talk with Rusty, Steve, and Mystery Mark, and we'll be right back.
Dart Talk agrees to adhere to the Geneva Convention in treating fairly its prisoners in their war against lackluster darting administration and behaviour.
Okay, back for the second quarter at Dart Talk, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
The DartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Are you having issues with the chat where it's not refreshing?
It didn't seem to. I only missed a couple statements.
Did anybody pop quiz answer before we move on?
No, not yet. I asked a question, but
chat room's kind of quiet tonight. We have with us, fresh off the inaugural championship dart circuit event, which I believe was in Lexington, Kentucky. James Kinney is with us. James, I don't know if you heard. Welcome to the show, by the way.
Welcome.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
It's always good to have. He's like our favorite guest now. I don't know if you heard the questions I posed before the break about. The first question was, is cricket the American game, darts wise?
I heard, but can we segue to the whole World Cup thing first?
Sure.
Sure. So the way the teams are picked are actually order of merit. So Wright opted out, from what I've heard. Clausen opted out, and because he's going to play with Van Gerwen, and
they have issues,
like each other.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So it is order of merit based on country, from what I know.
Okay.
Why did Wright opt out?
I don't know. I read it on someplace somewhere, but they didn't really list a reason why. I can't remember now. That was right when it was released.
Yeah, the Yelly Clausen thing is we never really talked about it because we don't do the personal gossipy.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking
criminal
about.
thing.
Come on, that one's kind of fun. He's the up and comer, and that one's kind of fun to talk about.
Well, you can talk about it if you want. I'll pass.
Okay. So is cricket an American game?
Well, the American game.
No, cricket's not the American. Well,
see, it's a tricky.
What you want to do.
Yeah, it's tricky.
A tricky question.
So how come when you walk into a bar and there's people that have their wrong foot forward, throwing those, plastic brass bar darts, they're playing cricket and have never heard of 01? Why do you suppose that is?
I think it's because I feel that like a lot of people learn about those games in college. They learn about darts in college. I think that if you look at when I talk to some of the people that I've played with, and where did you learn how to play, or when did you learn about darts, or why did you start playing darts? It was in college. I think that was Gordon's thing, and a few other people that's just where they learned it. Me, it was just a cheap game to play in bars. I didn't have to pay the buck to put money in a pool table, so that was what I did actually.
That's what Ronnie Baxter actually said.
Exactly.
He said darts was cheaper than snooker.
It really is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's about as cheap a sport as you can find, except for basketball.
So right? I think it's about where they learn to play it, and I think a lot of people learn to play it in campus bars where they go, oh, let's just throw up a dartboard because that's what we do, and then it just that's where it's kind of learned, and it's just closeout cricket, right? We're not worried about points. We're just trying to get X 0, and that's the way they score it too. If they hit a triple and they've already had they already had 119, they hit a triple 19, they still go cross that X, close it, move on. I mean that's just kind of how they do it. So I think that's where that comes from.
You can get a lot of entertainment watching a guy and a girl on a date trying to play cricket. Every now and then I'll coach the girl up a little bit and to put some pressure on the guy. He starts getting red in the neck and all of a sudden can't hit anything, and it's
that is so much fun.
It is fun.
I'm trying to think though, when I was in college and it was all plastic tip, but we didn't just play cricket. We played 501. It was all
big bull.
Well, it was all big bull, but I mean, all the options were on the board, and you could play whatever you want. And I played in the league, and it was 501. I do agree with what he's saying, though. I think for the majority of it, though, it's the easiest game to play.
Well, okay.
Easiest game to learn.
Here's why it's easy.
You don't have to do subtraction.
Exactly.
So let's start with that.
Yeah. The people that are goofing around in a bar playing darts with college degrees have a serious problem subtracting 39 from 100 and getting to 61.
Right.
And
yeah,
they didn't come out to do arithmetic.
It's so much easier to say I need to hit 2 19s and throw 3 darts at it and go, oh, I missed, and walk back and let the next person throw.
So the people like at some bars that have these the Dartmaster 300s that are made in Canada, where you could just punch in what you scored and then the machine will subtract it. Those people seem to enjoy 01. Right?
Oh, well, even in league, it's annoying the people that can't subtract. And they're playing 501 in league.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's just like, okay, how difficult is it?
You got to get used to it. I mean, go ahead, James.
Well, don't fret. DartConnect's going to change all that. 01's going to be just as easy from now on as people get used to it, and that's just the way it's going to be.
Okay, so you'll instead of having that Dartmaster thing,
you
could put an iPad up there with DartConnect. Cool. Have you used it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
When do you use it?
Satera.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so you guys were using it in league?
Yeah.
And you liked it?
Yeah, it's nice.
It's absolutely brilliant.
What did it give you when you were done? What kind of numbers did it give you?
Oh, I didn't look into that. I'm just talking about from a scoring standpoint. It's easy to.
Does it give you doubles percentage?
That's an option, actually.
That's an
option. It gives
option?
you doubles percentage, but you have to actually set it up beforehand, and you have to think about it. So let's say you're on 61, and you go bullseye, miss. You have to remember that you missed 2 darts, and then go up the next time, go miss, hit, and then remember that you had to take 5 darts at it. It's not automatic, so it's a little bit cumbersome. But for guys like me, for the people that really work on their game, yes, it does track your outshot percent. It does track your double percentage.
I mean, yeah, the way the PDC does outshots, I've never been wild about, and I don't know if they changed it, but it used to be that if you had 8 left and you parked it into the double 13 instead of the double 4, it charged you for 3 missed darts.
But that is 3 missed darts.
Right.
Well, but you didn't throw 2 of them.
Doesn't
but
matter.
Your turn,
it's still 3 missed darts.
Every turn is 3 darts.
Well,
yeah, I agree. I agree with Mark.
Well, yeah, except that you didn't throw them.
Yes, but then you're going to have to weigh between. Okay, then the next guy throws 3 darts, and then he doesn't take it out, and then you throw 3 darts. Now all of a sudden you've
for your percentage for your average. Yeah, it's 3 darts, but for your doubles percentage, I never thought it should be.
Well,
right?
You're separating outshots from your actual shots at doubles.
Yeah.
I think they track both, don't they?
The last I heard, believe me, I don't spend a lot of time looking at this.
You park 2 on the wire above the double 4, and then you park 1 into the double 13.
Then you miss 3.
Yeah. Shame on you for parking into the double 13 on your first dart. You missed 3 darts, pal.
I feel bad enough that I missed. Now you're going to pretend that I threw 2 darts I didn't.
Because that's
missed
your turn.
2.
That's your turn.
Okay.
It's not my fault you parked in the double 13. You blew 3 darts.
That's like hitting a foul ball in the seats on strike 1 and them calling you out on strike 3.
No, it's not.
Left field's closed.
Time out.
Because
1, it's not a bad baseball program. 2, I think there are 2 different. There are 2 different stats to check here.
Yeah.
1 is outshot percentage,
right,
and 1 is double percentage, and until we distinguish those 2, it's just not the way it's going.
I think he meant overall average there, right? You mean outshot percentage and then total average?
Right. I had a shot at an out, I missed it, so that's 0 for 1 on the outshot.
Right.
I had 26 and I had 8 and I parked into the 26. That's 1 miss at a double. So until they make that distinction, it doesn't really matter. I don't think they track it that way, so it doesn't really matter at that point.
But this is what you're saying. WWD just said they changed it to the way you're saying now.
Oh, they did.
Yeah,
okay, I think that's for the outshot percentage. That's the way to do it.
If you bust on the first dart, that's all they count.
Yeah, but for your average, it was 3 darts.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's the only way to do the average. I'm glad they changed the outshot thing because I think you want accurate numbers, right? So that's the only way to be accurate about it. Because, like I say, if your doubles percentage is above 33%, you're going to win a lot of legs where you leave yourself 3 to double, right? But, I mean, Van Gerwen's was over 50 in the matches we looked at. He rolled in the Premier League, man.
Okay, but from that aspect, all right, if you hand over 3 darts by busting on the first dart and giving your opponent a shot at it, that's how do you equate that? Because if he takes it out after you missed the double, whether it's your first dart or all 3 of them, and your percentage is worse because you missed all 3, or your percentage is better, but he took it out on the very next shot. How can you tell the difference?
The purpose of having a doubles percentage is to know how often you're hitting a double. So why count 2 darts that you didn't throw? It just gives you a bad number.
But if you never got a shot at it after that, what difference does it make? It didn't matter whether
it
you
matters
hit,
over.
it matter
matters cumulatively over time. It's not going to matter for one single match, but when you play 15 legs, right, and you throw 15 darts at a double and you hit 8, then you're at 50 whatever percent.
Okay.
That's all that matters. If you had 13 darts at a double and you only hit 3 and you're under 33%, that's something I would want to know for myself when I'm playing. I would want to know, what is my doubles percentage? If my doubles percentage is 18%, I should work on my doubles.
Well, you should work on not busting it on your first dart, too.
Yeah, of course. I'm just saying that when you keep track of this stuff, for it to be useful, right, it needs to be counted accurately.
Okay, but you also have to know what the situation happened afterwards.
Exactly. So here's the thing, Steve. If you're practicing or you're trying to track what your outshots are, and you're on 40, would you rather know how many times you hit that double 20 or how many times you had 3 darts at 40 and got out?
What? Both?
Really? I don't care about hitting that double 20 on the first one if I hit double 10 on the second one. I don't care.
I just want to know, of all the darts I throw at a double, how many I hit and how many I miss. That's all I want to know.
I think that's more a practice stat than an actual one. If I hit 140 to leave myself 40, the only thing I care about in the next 3 darts is if I have 3 darts at 40 or below, what am I going to hit? Am I finishing the shot or not? That's what I care about.
Well, then you don't have to track outshots at all. Then just look and see if you won the leg.
Bingo.
I disagree.
No, but
because you're using a big shot to set up a shot, and if it just happens to be when and you guys brought up Michael Van Gerwen, he hits a lot of big shots to leave 40, 28, 36, 32. Sure. So all he cares about the next time is, do I get a shot and how many times do I hit it? And he hits it more times than not. That's
well, look, wanting accurate stats is one thing. I mean, you don't go to the line when you're on 40, and if you miss the first start, you're there goes my doubles percentage, and then you blow the next 2. I mean, it's something you look at after.
Right. I don't argue
and
that.
Maybe over time, like you said, you guys were using the DartConnect in League. I mean, I think I would want to know what my doubles percentage was last season. The same way when you played softball, you wanted to know what your batting average was.
Okay, well, DartConnect tracks,
right?
But that's the same thing, though. But your batting average could be 300, but if you hit 200 with runners in scoring position, your 300 average isn't as good.
So then you're tracking how you do with runners in scoring position. But why would you not want to track outshots? Why would you not want to track a doubles percentage?
But my point is if you miss 1 dart at the double, if you bust and then your opponent takes it out because you had a game-winning shot and you lost, and then your opponent takes it out and you lose the game, but the next leg you go 1 for 6 on your doubles but still win because he's still at 450.
Your doubles percentage is 2 for 8.
But you won.
Or 1 for 8.
Right, but you won.
Yeah.
And you're 1-1, and that's better than being 0-2.
Yeah. Sure.
So your double percentage doesn't mean as much because he could be at 450.
I didn't say it was like the only meaningful statistic. It's the only statistic that's a pain in the butt to calculate because there's no real way to do it without kind of keeping track on a napkin or something.
Okay.
Like
Well,
he said, you have
right.
to remember how many darts you missed at the double, and then somebody's got to write it down for you.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Well, and DartConnect works that way. It tracks the number of doubles you hit or miss.
Right,
But
and
you have to remember how many you do.
So, I mean, the chalker should be able to do
Don't you
that.
remember when you're done with a match, whether you won or lost, how you did on your doubles? I mean,
No.
regardless of percentage,
Look.
you're going to know whether you missed 3 8-foot putts or whether you
Ask-
made 10 of them.
Ask anybody who just finished a dart match. How'd you do? How'd you think you did?
Well, I should have
Right.
hit more doubles.
Yeah,
I would have won.
there are
Or I
there
took
are
out all
lots of
my doubles, so I
people-
won. I did
there are
well.
lots of people out there who, for whatever reason, don't see the same darts I see when they're playing and I'm watching. Because you're playing. There's a lot of other stuff you're not paying attention to. You don't realize, how many 41s you threw. Right? You don't realize how many 81s you threw. You don't know how many tons you threw. You don't know how many ton 80s ton 80s you probably know. But you don't know how many ton pluses you threw.
Okay.
Right? Do you want to know?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, you're
Right, so
you're anti-stats.
Because it just depends on whether you win or lose.
So, Mark, let me jump in here real quick. Here's the thing about the DartConnect. You understand when you go into that game, you've set it up so that you're going to track your doubles, and you're playing your game, and you're in your game, and then at the end of the game, you hit that little number that says, "Okay, I finished in 2," and it asks you the question, "How many doubles did you throw out?"
Right.
And then you go blank because inevitably you have that one game, and I have it more than I care to mention, but you have that one game that's 27 darts, but you were down to an out in 14.
Sure. Yeah.
So the point is that it's really, really hard to track it unless you're actually thinking about it. But when you're playing somebody, especially in a practice match, because your practice partners, that's what we do. I'm not thinking about how many shots I've had at a double against a Petroselli or a Dixon or a Jones or those guys that I practice with here in Central Ohio. I just don't. But we set it up because we want to do it that way.
But your numbers are skewed when you have that 13 darts at a double and finally hit one, and then you have legs where you have 1 to 2 to 4 darts at a double, and then your percentage is higher, and you forget about that game. And if you only solely look at your percentage, then you're like, well, I need to work on my doubles. But in reality, you had one really bad game, and your double percentage, if you take that game out, was actually 50%.
Yeah, but that's up to us to click on the little link that they email us and go, okay, what really happened? I mean, that's what it comes down to, because you get that email and you click on the link and you go, okay, well, you know what? My average, let's eliminate doubles. Let's just go with just dart average. My average over the weekend at the CDC was 76, or 77, somewhere in there over the last weekend. But when I look at it, I had 2 games that were absolutely freaking miserable. They just were. And if I eliminate those 2 games, my average is in the 85s, 86s. So it doesn't change it. That's still your average, because if I have that one game every match I play that's that bad, it's still my average. It doesn't change it.
Sure.
So why not include that in your outshots or your doubles or whatever it is?
Well,
that's why it's there.
I'm no mathematician, but I'll make 2 points. One is that there's a lot of times you throw out the high and the low if you want to really give yourself an accurate average.
That's fair. Yes,
If
I agree
you're
with that.
trying to figure out and assess, like on your handicap,
Yeah.
what do you take, the 10 best or whatever?
Top 2, low
Right.
2 are dropped.
Top
Yeah.
2 and low 2 are dropped.
Right.
And that kind of, in general statistics, is supposed to give you kind of a truer average.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You could do that with your dart game. If all you want to do is come up with an average to give yourself an idea of where you're at. I mean, I don't have a problem with that, and you can kind of do that, pretty simply if you've got the data and you just whatever. But the way I use statistics and the way I look at statistics is to kind of reinforce or correct my own perceptions of what I think I saw, especially your own game. It's very difficult if you're trying to get good, Mark. I'm not, if you're
sure.
playing League for fun, and who cares?
Well, it doesn't matter, right?
I mean, you got guys that are trying to work to get better. You need an accurate snapshot of your games, and
Do you
numbers
look at your
can give that
opponent's
to you.
snapshot too to compare it? Because
No.
if they threw out of their mind and you didn't,
Well, you'll know it, but what'd you throw? That's all. All you could do is your game.
mm-hmm.
I mean, when you're pitching and you're looking at your ERA, you're not looking at all the other hitters' batting average unless you're looking to see what they hit against you, right? I mean, how many runs did I give up? How many earned runs did I give up? I mean, baseball is like a very, very numbers game. Darts doesn't have sabermetrics, but you do have some that can kind of help you a little bit as far as like trying to help your own game, to give you as much information as you can to try to improve. Remember we did this years ago, James. I said, see if you remember this, Mark. I said that there are certain players that have a higher average of hitting a triple on their first dart than their third dart, and there are some players that have a higher average hitting it on their third dart than their first dart, and that the people who hit it on their third dart are generally the best players, and the people who hit it on their first dart generally aren't that successful.
I do not recall that, but it makes sense.
Make sense?
Yeah.
And that if you could track what you do on the first dart, the second dart, and the third dart, you'd get somewhere as far as getting kind of some sort of accurate metric as far as like, what is your game? Where's your game at? What do you need to do to improve? Right? If I told you, James, that 70% of the triple 20s you hit at the last CDC were on the third dart, would that help you?
That's actually kind of true, and it does. I mean, knowing that you have the confidence in the third dart does help you. I mean, but that issues with me in my head that I have to work out. I've got some issues with my first and second dart that I got to do. I think most players that are playing in the CDC already know that.
You think you do. I mean, that's where the numbers can help you. The numbers can tell you that you're right, that your thinking is accurate, or that you're mistaken. And that actually the majority of your triples are actually your first or second dart. You remember the third ones because you kind of worked it in there and it came at a good time, or what have you, And then when you're playing, long format and the legs start bleeding into each other, you don't really remember every single dart you threw in every single leg.
No, that makes complete
sense.
If,
See what I'm
if somebody
saying?
if somebody tracked every dart that I threw and told me that my first or second dart was my best dart, I'd be shocked. I'll be honest with you. And it might even be the case. I think you're right.
Well, it'd be good I think it'd be worthwhile to know if you really want to sit down and analyze your game and figure out how to get better, that might help. This is kind of the nerd science of sports that's kind of working its way into a lot of other sports.
You get all that information and you realize that your third dart is your worst dart.
Right.
How do you improve on that?
Well, you work on grouping. Right, you do drills
because all
for
of a
grouping.
Sudden, mentally, every time you get to the line and you get the third dart in your hand, you're like, well, this is my worst dart.
Well,
now I got to make it my best dart.
So you throw a cover shot? Start trying to throw ton 37s and ton 77s?
Exactly. Yes, absolutely.
Right?
That's something we should all do.
Right. So, but I'm just saying that, having this information can help you. As opposed to just... Go ahead.
The question is how do you track a cover
I have no
dart?
idea.
Right.
I have no idea. This is all just kind of theoretical.
I have a hard enough time to tracking the regular.
Yeah. Oh no, look, I totally understand. I'm just saying that, like, if there's some rich guy out there who wants to be a dart guy and he knows a dude from MIT, they should get together
and figure it
with
out
the DartConnect guys and see if there's some way that they can kind of like tweak their product a little bit.
I would assume that Dave's a good guy and great. His program is incredible. I could if they change the format of how we score the 01 instead of adding the points and doing it by darts. So in marksman cricket, there's only one way to score it. Did I hit a triple? Did I hit a double? Did I hit a single? That's pretty much the way it works. Now people cheat on it. They hit 3 singles and they hit the triple. But the capability is there where I can go and I'm playing an 01 and my chalker goes, okay, he hit a triple 20, triple 19 or a 3. or scored 3 points.
Yeah, you'd
so that
have
we could
to
track each dart.
Yeah,
But
you'd
it
have
would
to be
more
able to
complicated
put
the score.
Yeah, you'd have to just put each dart in individually.
And maybe there's a mode
60
maybe
20
they develop a
20
mode.
20 60 20
Right.
21 4
Right.
whatever.
Well, some of those would still overlap. I mean, you can hit a double 12 or a triple 8. It's the same score. So,
Yeah. It's
but I
almost
think
like
that-
you'd have to have a graphic representation of the board and just tap the segment you hit.
Now, see, that is good. I don't know that we're there yet, but that is a great idea on how to score. There are some games where you're playing darts, on the computer, where it's just one of those games that you play and you can just tap it. I know those exist, but it would be great to see the CDC kind of pull something like that off. But I don't know that technology is quite there yet for real life gaming.
Okay, well, let's take a break and we'll come back and solve other people's problems some more. You're listening to Dart Talk. Mystery Mark, Steve P., James Kinney's with us, and we'll be right back.
Really, analytics is going to rule the world soon. Yes, you have to practice your 8-footers more. Yes.
The views and opinions expressed on Dart Talk are those of the hosts. They in no way should be misrepresented, misinterpreted, or made to claim that the universe is against you, your family, your city, or the darting community at large.
Okay, back for the, second half of Dart Talk?
You betcha.
Dart Talk brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
The DartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. We also have James Kinney with us. I think he's still here unless he fell asleep.
I'm still here.
So here's my point on this, on all this statistic thing. It is possible, and it has been proven by more than one sport, that you can draw more fans by taking a different approach to the data that's generated by your sport. Baseball, football, college basketball, there are people that look at all sorts of numbers. Baseball's great with this. Football statistics are complicated because it's a team game, and so-and-so was 20 or 31, for 400 yards. Well, who'd they play?
Games.
Yeah. Yeah, but baseball's different insofar as there's a lot of one-on-one stuff that you can count.
Right.
Balls, strikes, hits, whatever. When it comes to darts, all we've really had is your 9-dart round average, like your scoring average for your first 9 darts, your average for the entire game, and what are they showing now? They're showing legs against the throw, where you break a guy. I think that's a meaningful statistic.
Sure.
Your out or doubles percentage, and then the sheer count of ton plus,
right.
ton 40,
plus
170,
180s. Right.
I mean, of all of those numbers, I know you looked at the stats for Van Gerwen's Dubai match against Wright, and you're like, oh, my God, he had 10 ton 80s. That's the number that jumps out at you. And then I'm trying to figure out, what would you equate that to? And what did we say, home runs, birdies?
Well, no, we equated it to, birdies in a round of golf. It's hard to 10 ton 80s. It's like it's the pinnacle of that shot, that specific throw.
Yeah,
and it's like, so it's hard to equate that to any other sport other than golf. It's the pinnacle of that hole. You bested the hole.
Yes,
by birdie.
You
bested the
best thing
you
score,
could on the dartboard.
The average score of an expert.
Right.
What's the average score of an expert in darts throwing at the 20? Like ton. Help me out here, James. Ton 40? Ton 20?
Yeah.
Over a ton.
130-ish.
It's
on average, right?
125. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, something like 125. Like you go ton 40.
Yeah. Right.
Is what's 3 into 40? 10, 13. So like 113, 114.
Right.
If you do that, if you go ton 40, ton, that's 3 into 80. So that's like 127, 126, off the top of my head. Yeah, something like that. So a ton 80.
It's a big difference in one dart.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
Whether you're going 140 or 100.
Yeah, huge. But a ton 80, 3 perfect darts, I would have to say, perfect drive, hit the green, perfect putt. That's the best analogy I can find.
You bested it if you hit an eagle, but it's the rarity of those compared to birdies and compared to ton 80s.
Eagles are, I think eagles are overrated.
You get
because
Peter Wright throwing 5 ton 80s and Van Gerwen throwing 10. Well, that's the equivalent of the same thing.
You lost by 5.
McIlroy throwing 10 birdies out there and shooting 62, and Spieth shooting 5 birdies and shooting 67.
Right. Yeah. And then the thing about eagles is par 5s, a lot of them aren't really par 5s.
Right.
Right, the old
they're not knocking in 9 irons or 5 irons from the fairway.
And what do they really eagle? They eagle super short par 4s, which really should
Yeah.
just move the tee up and make it a long par 3.
Because you can drive
right?
the bunker on
Yeah.
and just knock one close.
And, the par 5s, move the tees up and make it a tough par 4.
Right.
Make it where you have to hit a great drive and a long iron to a small green. And we'll see how many eagles you get then. So, always in my mind, golf scoring's a little odd. But again, it goes back 150 years. They're not going to get everything right.
Right.
You play golf, James?
I have clubs that are my own, and I go out there. Yes.
Okay, let's talk
There's
about
a subtle
darts.
difference.
Yeah, I got it right away too. Let's talk about darts. You played the first 2 CDC events of the year in Lexington recently.
I did.
How'd that work for you?
Didn't work out as well as I wanted. I was a little below my average. I'm in your terms, coming off the Diddle Tour, trying to adjust to the CDC Tour, and it wasn't bad. I didn't lose. I went from like 11 to 12 in the order of merit, so didn't suffer too much. Didn't play as well as I'd like, but I'm working on it. I'm working on it every day, actually.
Okay, what was the? Tell us a little bit about the event itself. Did it run on time? How was the venue?
The venue,
I know.
Well,
go ahead.
The venue was perfect because it was in a hotel for the first time. So we've been doing, the lodges and the mooses, those kind of venues. The next 3 venues are the same. This was the first one was actually at a hotel where you can have a room. So that was perfect and brilliant. Whether they continue on with that, that's a numbers game with the financials, and I don't know how they're going to do that moving forward. But for this event, yes, it was really, really good. And the hotel was absolutely perfect. The setup was great. Everything ran on time. And it was flawless.
Okay, what was the turnout like?
The turnout was actually fantastic. We had 44 tour card holders and 34 qualifiers on day 1, Saturday, and 41 tour card holders and 30 qualifiers on day 2, which is the most that we've had in any weekend. So
how many
the
total
turnout was
tour card holders are there?
There are 64, but that's from all over the country,
right?
And we're still and we're still kind of Midwest located. So
you got basically 70%.
Yeah,
65%.
so that's and our goal is always 48. Yeah. We want 48 tour card holders to register because that solidifies all the spots for the tour card holders with 16 qualifiers. So we're much closer this year than we were last year in any event.
Okay, well that's good.
Yeah.
I didn't look up the results, and I didn't have time. I know that there's a YouTube channel where they publish some of the matches.
Yeah, we had L. David Irie did, and we're working through the publishing of the matches, at least online streaming. But we started that this year, which was fantastic. I mean, you can go to DartConnect and you can watch the scoring on live. You can go to Challenge and you can see the bracket and how it turns out. But no, you have all the tools. If you're willing to look at the right places, you can watch all the things happening all the time.
Well, okay. So you put one eye on Challenge and the other eye on the score, or?
Well, you just check Challenge. You watch the score and then you see somebody win. You go, okay, where are they in the bracket? Or you watch the CDC the CDC page, and they publish all 3 sites. So you go to DartConnect and you can see the scores for all the matches that are going on. You can go to the stream and you can see the premier match that's playing right now. And then once those matches are done, you can go to Challenge and you can see where they are in the bracket, who they're going to play next or who they're waiting on, that kind of thing, where they're seated, all of that stuff.
Yeah, we had do you remember, what was the event you came to in Chicago to interview players? What was that for? Was that the PDC event in?
Yes.
Because you talked, John Part 1.
Yes, it was a PDC event, right.
I wandered around with my phone and just used Twitter and updated every single match
Right.
that was going. Remember I was doing that?
Yeah.
And then they kind of told me to stop?
Yeah.
And they didn't want me to do it? I mean, why don't you guys just put the stuff on Twitter?
That would be a great question for
You put it on Twitter, and at the same time, you post it simultaneously to your Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that would be a great question for Peter or
For
Anthony
somebody
or
else.
David. But
For the powers
fact
that
of the matter
be.
is, the fact of the matter is that I think their goal is bigger than that. I mean, anybody can post something on Twitter, right? So their goal is to make this thing something bigger than that, something better than that. I mean, anybody can do it for the PDC, right? Anybody can do it for the BDO, but the BDO and the PDC do it much better than that. And I think the CDC, the goal is to do it better than that, not have just that being out there. Have something better than being out there. So nobody really pays attention to the Twitter. I don't. I'm not paying attention to it, even though I should.
Well,
I do.
I mean, how do you get updates for 10 matches that are going on simultaneously? Right? Twitter works really good for that.
Well, yeah, but you know what? DartConnect does too, and we score everything on DartConnect. I just pull up all the matches.
Okay, so you're using that instead.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm using. I have 10 different windows up for all the different matches because every match is scored on DartConnect. So I am watching all of them. Well, and obviously not for the CDC. I was there. I'm watching all of them.
I was gonna say.
So last weekend,
could be why he played below average.
Yeah.
Pay attention to your own game, pal.
That was not that. Yeah, that's probably true. But that's not what I was doing. No, I watch when I'm watching other events because I watch all weekend events when I don't get a chance to play, and I'm interested in what's going on. I'll have 4 to 6 screens, and actually, if you go to my Facebook page, you'll see it because I post pictures of me watching on 4 different computer screens, 10 different matches. Because I'm interested in see what's going on.
I'm not sure that's a good look for anyone.
Nerd alert!
I am a nerd. I'm an IT guy. I'm a nerd.
It's okay.
So,
it's okay to be a nerd. I
Yeah,
mean, I think that's kind of been proven that nerds have a place in the world now.
Sure.
So I
in
don't think you
fairness-
got to really apologize for it.
in fairness, the fans they're looking for the people that they like. So if we're trying to develop a product that we can market, and we have these people that we like to watch, the Larrys, Garens, whoever it is, Leonard's, Jeremiah.
Who do you like watching play?
I am one, first and foremost, a Dart fan. I will like watching. I don't care. I like watching all of it. I like watching.
You
the
can watch
matches.
me play. That'll change your mind real quick.
Well, okay, so I'm not going to come out to your bar and watch you play at a bar on a Monday night in late.
Right.
However, if it's a weekend tournament and I'm watching Benny Dersch play in Las Vegas, going for his second win, which has never been done, yeah, I'm going to watch that. Okay, I'm just going to watch that. So I'm a little bit different to ask that question to. But if you're just a fan that likes, you're a family member or something, and Joey McCluskey, Sue McCluskey's kid, he goes to all of these things. He has people that he likes, and he follows those people, and he watches them all play. Great guy. Just a really great guy.
Yeah.
So he's going to have his people that he watches, and he's going to follow those people, and that's kind of what you want, and you want that to build and grow.
Well, Steve said that for years. He always wondered why at all these tournaments, unless you had a plane to catch, you played against these people and they're on stage for the finals. Why people didn't stick around to watch? And,
some of them do, but
a
lot of people
majority,
don't.
you were just always wondering why. You guys are all Dart players, but Dart fans also. And if you don't have anywhere to go, why you're not watching the final?
Well, most Dart players do have someplace to go.
Well, I
do.
I understand that aspect.
Or they've got another event.
Right.
So
if we're driving home on Sunday, and I've had 4 people in a car, and we've got an iPad up connected to the internet, watching the finals of the match that all 4 of us were just knocked out of, because we want to know. Well, that was the Continental Cup last year out of St. Louis.
As long as the driver's not watching.
Well, the driver's watching too.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
The driver's watching
okay.
too.
He didn't mean that, sports fans. All you young
kids
darters
shouldn't do
at
that.
home,
Yeah.
don't watch darts while you're driving with an iPad.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
fair.
my God.
No, we're paying attention. We're paying attention,
Sure.
and we're watching all the time. but
I used to.
It's not us. We need everybody else to watch, which is what I think the goal of CDC is.
Well, again, I mean, people watch and people play for different reasons. I mean, there are people I enjoy watching because the presence that they have on the line and the kind of way they hang tough when things are bad, as opposed to, some people tend to get hissy fits and yell at the chalker and, be all grumpy and don't look like good sports. Maybe they are, but they don't appear that way, right? LeBron syndrome.
Yeah,
right? People just come off in a kind of negative way.
Right,
and then,
sure.
So I don't want to watch that guy, and I don't want to watch that guy win. I don't
Yep.
even want to talk to that guy in line at the buffet
Right.
in the morning. You know what I mean? But then there are guys that are genuinely like you root for him. You like Benny Dursch. He's a guy that, I like to see him win.
I like to see Benny win. He's a great guy.
I don't know how he stands. Do you ever see a picture of Benny at the line?
I played him recently.
He's bent over like a pretzel.
On top of that,
painful.
he's bent over like a pretzel forever because he takes forever to throw.
Oh no!
I'm not kidding.
Now, according to Benny, he does not take forever.
He takes forever, and I'll call him out on that.
He's slow.
I actually, when I played Benny, I walk across the concourse back and forth until I see him leave the line, looking down, looking at his feet to the left, back and forth to the right until he's done, and then I walk up to the line and throw. He takes that long.
Yeah,
That's
see,
fine.
you can't sell that. We've had this discussion that part of the attraction to the PDC, and this goes into this other conversation. Every 7 seconds there's darts in the air. Every 2 minutes you're on an outshot. So there's drama building, and then there's a climax. And there's drama building, and there's a climax. Watching a guy stare at his feet and pump his arm is not drama. That's boredom. You can't sell that. If you were putting a highlight show together, you'd have to cut it all out.
Yeah, right.
Okay? So it's the same in any sport. Like they're trying to make baseball more attractive because there's too much dead time. They try to make football faster and faster and faster. When the game is so fast, what they need to do is slow it down. Hockey's the same way. Hockey's just mind-boggling how fast it is. The spectacle's fantastic. The only spectator sport that's slow enough to really understand what's going on is baseball and basketball. You can see a fast break develop in basketball.
Yeah,
right? You see the passing. And soccer.
Yeah.
Right. Soccer's very easy to understand, too.
Yeah, but basketball,
clear.
right. Go ahead.
Let's be clear. Benny's not looking at his feet. I'm looking at my feet while he's throwing because I don't want to see what he's doing.
No, you're looking at your feet while he's not throwing.
No, I'm looking at my. Well, that's fair. Okay, yes. But he's staring at the board and working through his motion and what he's
like
doing.
a pretzel.
Well, I'm not going to say that. I know he takes the time.
I saw a picture of him. Somebody posted, and my back started to cramp.
I don't know how he can do it.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be awfully flexible and probably in pretty good shape.
And a very, very, very good player.
Oh, yeah. There's tons of good players in the States. They're spread out, and it isn't, that doesn't help any. But any state, I can think of like at least one really good player that, I've seen, out playing whatever, at Stanford or at Virginia Beach or, somewhere.
Right.
I can't speak to the electronic players that play solely electronic because our paths never cross. You didn't go to the Bullshooter by chance, did you?
I did not. I had a couple of people ask me to go. Unfortunately, I was working that weekend. I'm working on. I actually just fixed that. That was my last weekend working professionally ever.
Oh,
I
wow!
want to play darts.
Congrats.
Yeah, thanks. It's one of many things I'm changing this year. My job was one of them. So no more weekends for me. It's all about weekends. It's darts.
It's all about that bass.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
We're running out of time, James. Is there anything you wanted to cover that we have not gotten to?
Yes, I'd love to cover a couple of things. Couple of things you should know about the CDC. One, the field is just tougher than it was last year. I mean, the players are great. You've got the Q School winners like Nick Lindbergh out of Cincinnati. Q School winner, he goes, first day, finals appearance. Second day, I believe it was a top 16. Yeah, top 16, and then got beat by another Q School guy, Jeremiah Miller, that played. I saw his post on Facebook. He wasn't really happy with his performance, but I mean, I believe he went top 8 and top 8, right?
Yeah, he's never happy with his performance unless he wins.
Well, I know. Are we ever going to argue about that?
No, I mean,
really.
I've met him. I've played him. I think he's a good guy.
And then you've got
some people don't agree, but that's fine. I don't have any problems with him. He's a great player.
He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a great guy. I reached out. I was doing the Red Eye Rhino soft tip premier. I can't even remember what it's called. The $15,000 first place tournament qualifier stuff. And I reached out just on Facebook and said, hey, I need some practice partners. And he was one of the first to go, let's play. And he played me for an hour and a half before I started it. So that just speaks volumes. He's just like, yeah, let's get you going. Let's play some darts. So I have much respect to him. What else? You got some qualifiers out there. This guy, Mark Lickett, who's actually the brother of somebody else. I have no idea where this guy's from. Don't know anything about him but his name. He plays very rare in leagues, doesn't travel ever, and made a top 8 in day one. I just don't. He beat Jason Brandon in top 16.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a nice
Joe
scout.
Devani. You know Joe, right? Joe Devani.
Yeah, he's from Chicago.
Yeah, he's from Chicago. Tour card holder, beat Joe Devani in second round. So he plays another no, he played Netch. So played Netch and then he beats him 5, and then goes to Devani and beats him 5-3, and plays Brandon, beats him 5-3, and then finally succumbs to Nick Lindbergh, who is a fabulous player. So I mean, there's some good stories coming out of this. Miller, his performance. Trevor Buboltz, who was also, I think he's a qualifier, or maybe he got a second or a top 4.
Yeah, he's from Chicago too. He's from the South Side. Big White Sox fan.
Who's that?
So
Trevor Buboltz. He always shows up in a White Sox jersey.
Never heard of him.
I think he's got a tour card, but it's not one of the ones where everything was paid, and he's certainly not ranked. But he goes against Leonard Gates, first round on Saturday. First time he shows up for an event. He's up 4-1. And the sad story is, he doesn't finish it, because I mean, he's up 4-1, and then he has the darts. Leonard throws a great game against him against the darts, throws 14, backs it up with 15. He has like 4 darts at a double in the second to last leg, and then misses 52 with 2 darts, a double at the last leg, gets knocked out. It's just stories like that. The competition is better. The averages are getting higher, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And the guys that are running this thing are making all the right moves again this year. So that's really the crux of the story. It's a lot of fun. Everybody had a blast. Everything went on time. The venue was perfect. I don't know what to say about it.
That sounds great. What was the high average for the weekend?
High average went to Larry. I believe it was at 92. Hold on, I can check that right now. Yeah, Larry Butler finished with 92.7. Darren was at 87. Leonard, who had probably the best weekend, was at 86.8. Ralph McCool, who just in Savannah finished his last 201, his last 501 legs at, I believe, better than 115 total. But again, that's Diddle Tour, so that's 2 legs, each match, the semis and finals, and probably finished at 107, 108, which was kind of fun. I watched those too. So, averages for the top people were in the people were in the 80s.
Okay.
So
well, that's a high standard at darts. I mean, it's not 105, but
no,
very few things are.
Hey, 8 years ago it was 100 average at the PDC was good. Now
I don't know. I mean,
things will improve.
Somebody showed me at one point they were doing ADO Nationals, and they were keeping track of darts thrown, and there were guys averaging like kind of around 90. Mm-hmm. I mean, there have been talented players around for a long time. I mean, the longer format may be hurting some people stamina-wise. If you're running around on the Diddle Tour and all your matches are short, and now all of a sudden you got to park it there for 20, 25 minutes, however long a match is going to take. You're playing your best of 9 there, James?
What's that?
The CDC matches were best of 9.
The first 2-3 rounds were best of 9, then best of 11, the best of 11 the rest of the way.
Best of 11 the rest of the way. So that's a race to
Yep.
6 and a race to 5. I mean, that's a little longer than people are used to for the Diddle Tour people. And I think, the more you play stuff like that, the more you'll see the averages creep up a little bit when people kind of get used to playing a lot of legs.
Right.
And you're starting to see this trickle down into the Diddle Tour as well. So,
well, that's good.
yeah, it is good.
Rising
and Mark,
tide lifts all boats.
Yep.
What?
Mark to the
Rising
point.
tide lifts all boats.
Okay.
It's a cliche.
Go ahead, James.
So to the point about whether you're, hitting 80% of your 4-foot putts and only 30% of your, 8-foot putts and
He heard
none
that.
of your 30-foot putts. Oh, I absolutely heard that. Just go to the performance leaderboard and look at the stats that we have and think about, okay, if this were me, what would I do to improve my game? And then take that back to your golf game and putting. I understand you're not. I understand you're not an analytics guy, but analytics are important.
You're beating a dead horse, man. I guarantee you.
I know.
You have to be careful when in analytics when it comes to a singular sport when it's only yourself. You can analyze baseball and football and all the stats, and all the people in the office analyze all the baseball stats and who they put on their team. But they're not walking up to a guy and saying, listen, you've only drove one runner in scoring position in the last 30 at-bats. They know it, and they don't need to hear it. And if you start analyzing every little aspect of your own game when the game is so mental, then you're gonna start thinking about that stuff when you're in the match. If you can totally zone out in the match and in the moment, then it's going to work. But if you get to there and all of a sudden you've got a 4-foot putt and you go, I missed the last 5 of these, or if you're on, if you all of a sudden know that your third dart is your worst dart and you're not having in
Cover
the match
shot.
and the match is close, it's going to creep into your head, and you have to be careful about how much you can analyze.
He's right about you can't be up there worried about your stats when you're playing.
Right.
You can't be worried about that.
We talked about that before. We've talked about that. Why I drink. I don't want to know about any of that stuff when I'm playing in competition.
Right. But
so we've had that conversation.
There are numbers that can accurately give you an idea of how you're doing. And then there are numbers that over time can be somewhat predictive and can give you an idea of how you've been doing. The predictive ones are very difficult.
Then you can take all those numbers against all the people in the field and go, well, I don't even have to show up because I'm going to predict it.
Okay.
No. Hold on. Time out.
I'm just playing.
He's just trying to irk me now.
Yeah, well, here, I'm going to step in. There
Why
are 2
play
parts
the
of this.
game, right?
Right, yeah.
all the numbers
Let's cut to the final.
That I'm not even going to make top 16, so why show up?
Well, that's why a lot of people don't.
I know.
There are 2 points
I
to this.
average 30 around. I don't know that I can beat a guy who averages 80.
Go ahead.
Hey, Mark.
Go ahead, James.
Mark.
Yeah.
There are 2 points to this. When you're talking about that thought that creeps in that I missed my last 5 and now I have to hit another, that's for a sports psychologist. Go to that person.
No, just imagine you're Steph Curry. And the next one's going in.
Eventually it's going in.
Yeah, next one's going in. I'll just keep shooting.
Exactly. Or the next point is you could take all of these analytics and go to a coach. Every driving range you have has a pro. Every golf course you have has a pro.
Oh, now wait a minute. No, wait a minute. I have seen some terrible pros.
That's not the point. That's up to you to pick the right the right psychologist, and 2, the right pro. That's on you. But you take this information to them. You go to a sports psychologist and you go, I scream down the board averaging 125, and then it takes me 6 starts to get out. What's my problem? They're going to work you through that process. You go to the golf course and you go, I drive the ball 300 yards. I'm on the green at 2, and it takes me 3 putts. They're going to work you through the process. And especially if you tell them that it's that 4-foot putt that kills me every time. I mean, there are people that can help you do it. So the information is only a tool. You have to know how to use that tool. Having the information is not doesn't inhibit you in any way.
I would have to agree with that. Here, let me run something by you because we're going to have to wrap this up, James, but you're an intelligent guy. Have you ever heard of Deepak Chopra?
No.
Oh, okay. I don't know who he is, but people can Google him. He's some sort of self-help guru. So somebody posted this, and I just find this a fascinating thought to end the show on. He's talking about some kid's parents. They get a report card from the kid, from his teacher, that says the kid's failing math, but apparently is pretty good at tennis. And so the parents immediately go out and get him a math tutor. And Deepak Chopra is like, I don't know why they're doing that. Why don't they just get him a tennis coach?
Tennis coach, yes.
Right?
Tennis coach, yes.
That's the other end of the analytics where it's like, if you see that you're really good at something, get better at that. Yeah, and that'll make up for the flaws. It's a different take on things.
That is a difference. But I mean, well, let's bring that back into darts.
Right.
Chizzy's going to always be a great scorer, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but not a great finisher. Here's the thing: Wade is always going to be a better player than Chizzy because Wade can finish from 100 to 120 like nobody else.
Well, Wade's a more complete player than Chizzy.
Okay, that's fine. But so let me ask you this: is that the end result to finish the game?
Yes.
And he averages not as great as Chizzy coming out of the first 9, but he always finishes.
Yes.
He's going to win more of those matches
against Chizzy.
I would think so.
Well, if Kinney, if you don't
on?
finish your 0-1 games, you lose them. Yeah.
So
and
the
Chizzy
thing.
seems to be like kind of a little scared when he's throwing at a double compared to how he looks when he's throwing at a triple.
Yeah, he's a little more gitchy. I get that.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: which does each person work on?
Chizzy needs a shrink. and I don't know how to fix James Wade. I think James Wade needs 2 shrinks. James Wade needs a shrink for how he lives his life from 9 in the morning to 9 at night, and then he needs another shrink for weekends. I mean, because he's got all the talent in the world.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
There's no reason why he should be on a separate plateau than Michael Van Gerwen, except that he can't get out of his own way. You'll never convince me that Van Gerwen has more talent or natural ability than James Wade. You'll never convince me of that.
Really? With the way he's throwing now and the averages he's putting up?
Van Gerwen's been awesome, but James Wade has all the ability to do that himself. And just, I think it comes down to, like, when you look at some champions that have managed to conquer the entire field, it becomes more a matter of drive and want to, which is kind of hard to quantify. Wade?
Yeah, you don't think he cares?
No, not as much as Van Gerwen cares.
Oh, no, Van Gerwen cares every time.
Yeah, I mean, Wade doesn't want to get embarrassed and lose to some schmuck. But when push comes to shove, I guarantee you Van Gerwen and Phil Taylor have been out working him for years. I don't think there's any question about that.
You think he's okay with losing to the top 10 in the world?
He seems to be somebody that plays darts because he's really good at it and he's made money at it. But if he couldn't play tomorrow, he'd be happy being an auto mechanic. He wouldn't care.
Yeah, he wouldn't care.
Yeah.
He doesn't play the sport because he loves the sport. He plays the sport because it's basically a job.
Well, I wouldn't put it. I wouldn't put it that way.
He's good at it. The drive that you're talking about is the.
What's the difference between Charles Barkley and Michael Jordan?
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Well, there are several differences between those two.
I don't know if it's
what I mean is that, and Jordan's like an institution in Chicago.
Right.
Nobody outworked him. No one outworked Michael Jordan. In the offseason, during the season, whatever, on the court, 48 minutes, no one ever outworked him. And when you put hard work in with talent, generally you get really good results. That is what you've seen with Van Gerwen.
Yeah,
no one works harder at the game. than Van Gerwen. Wade is older. Wade's had plenty of time to, master his craft. And, some guys just don't want to spend
decided that
8
was good
hours
enough.
on the board. And, now he's married to a walk-on girl, and he likes to work on cars, and that works for some people.
You hear that Phil has announced his semi-retirement?
I was waiting for that.
Yep.
Looks
like he's working with his managers, and he's going to play many less tournaments in 2017.
What is a semi-retirement? You're either playing or you're
not. Well, no. What Phil could do without the Premier League. Phil could do without, I'll just play the TV tournaments. I'm not going to play the PDPA. Maybe I'll skip the UK Open because that's actually 4 tournaments because you got to play the mandatory 3 qualifiers and all that, and just show up and be on TV, and maybe he can commentate or something. I mean, the guy's 56 this August.
Yep.
He's turning 56. And look, all that travel has to be a young man's game. You got all these kids coming up now. How many 10-year-olds spend all their time, instead of being on the soccer team or the basketball team, they're just playing darts? So then by the time they turn 18, they're world beaters. Right?
And really, he only needs to be – he's proven that he can do a self-practice and play only selected tournaments and still be at the top of his game. And I think that's what I think he wants to win one more championship, world championship, and then be done.
Well, he should do – yeah. And he should do what Tiger Woods did, which was just focus on the majors and then pick tournaments to get ready for those and skip everything else.
Yep, I agree. He's got enough money. He's well invested in BDC. He's fine.
Tiger Woods plays, what was he playing, 16,
what is he playing more?
17 a year?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's not anymore, but
no.
That's what he would do.
Right.
Which gives you,
he wasn't paying 20, 25, 30 tournaments.
That's one every 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So you take a month off, and then you play 3 weeks in a row, and you take a month off, and that month off gives you time to refine anything you may need to refine, gives you time to rest and recharge and stuff like that, get mentally prepared. Why not? I mean, these guys, the dart season now is stupid. I mean, it's like tennis. There's no off time anymore.
It's like bowling. A bowling league is like it's ridiculously long.
The Pro Bowlers Tour?
No, just a bowling league.
Yeah, really. And Phil is known to be one of the biggest just people that love to just practice and prepare mentally, physically, and get ready for whatever his task is. So whether it's, practicing at home and then doing 3 tournaments, getting ready for that big one, he's the guy that can do it.
Yeah, I think that he'll probably be able, if he does something like that, the basic automatic 101 average, I think he can maintain that. I don't know that he can get to 108. I don't know that he can get to 110, which may be what it takes now.
Yeah, well, it's going to take at least 105 with the way it's going right now.
Yeah, I mean, the standard of play is now higher. Phil set the standard for over a decade. Well, Van Gerwen's setting it now.
Yep.
And it's
totally
you have to be closer to a 12 darter now than ever before. 10 years ago, if all you did was throw 15s, you were golden. Right? Mix in an occasional 12.
Well, right now what you have to do is mix in that 12 that breaks the throw and hold your throw. That's what's got to happen now.
Yeah, but
and sometimes twice.
Yeah, but now it's like you need some 12 darters on your own throw.
Yeah,
to keep from getting broken.
An 11.
Keep them from breaking. Yeah, that's
to keep them from breaking you. So the whole thing is getting a little bit better. Do you know anything about these new boards, the Eclipse that they're going to use, target size wise?
I've read some of the things on both sides of it and what people are posting about these things. But I mean, here's the thing. If it comes down to it, if you're that good in the BDO and your targets are smaller, go to the PDC.
Heard that.
That's where all the damn go where the money is, and they're not doing it. There's a reason why. I don't know what the reason is, but if those targets are really that much smaller, I mean, I practice on a Champ's Choice. We all have. Yeah. We all do. Everybody does. And if the targets are that much smaller, I don't know how they make them any smaller than they are or make them any bigger than they are. I don't know the percentages or anything. I know that when I started playing, we had round wires and staples. And if you go to a standard blade wire board, the targets are 18% bigger. That's what I know. I understand that because I did the research. I'm scoring better, and I equate it to that. I finished better than I equated to that. But I mean, if you're really, look at the top players that are in the BDO, right?
Like
Adams.
who?
Like
Martin
Adams.
Adams?
Let's just go with Martin Adams.
Okay.
If his score is that, and it's on smaller targets, which is high 90s, low 100s. Well, if he goes to another board and another organization that's 6% bigger, his score should be 6% better, right? Well, guess what? That puts him in Van Gerwen's area. Why not? Why isn't he doing it?
Well, I don't accept the premise of that argument, but
Okay,
I don't know.
So maybe not him. Let's just do it in general.
The BDO. There's enough money in the BDO for what, like 4 people to do pretty well year round.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, you're better off being the number 2 guy in the BDO than you are being the number 16 guy in the PDC or the number 32 guy. I don't know what the cutoff is money-wise.
Right. I'm sure there's a formula there for them. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's not too hard to figure out. So you're giving up a sure thing to go on the PDC and knock heads with everybody else, and you don't know where you're going to come out, and you're not guaranteed anything from the beginning. So look what happened to Stephen Bunting. He was averaging over 100 in the BDO, so he should be averaging 106, and he ain't.
But he's not.
Not even coming close.
That's making my point.
That kills the whole argument.
Well, yeah, but no, that's actually making my point. That he comes over, and I don't think the triples are that different.
Here's thing. Yeah, I don't either. Yeah, we agree on that.
So here's the thing: if you're a player, I mean, okay, so if you're a player like Wade, and you were in the BDO, and you were happy just making that living, getting back to our previous conversation, you would never move. But what if you're a player that actually wants to do better? Don't you think most of them do? Don't you think most of them want to get into the major leagues instead of playing AAA ball?
Well, and if I think you've seen, like somebody like Christian Kist who turned it down and then changed his mind. I mean, who's left in the BDO anyway? I mean, you
got Durant, you got Adams, you still got some good players.
Martin Adams is okay, but Martin Adams is not a top 16 PDC player week in and week out. He's in the same shape as Phil, only worse.
Glenn
Durant doesn't impress me at all. I don't think Glenn Durant's a top 32 player.
Really?
Oh,
I think he's
not
a top
a chance.
16. I think he's a top 16.
No.
Oh,
hey,
really?
look,
okay.
It's easy
so
to get through.
Well,
yeah. Look, I mean, you got a guy like Wazza who's going to dominate a lot of the field in the BDO, who's confident enough that if I just play my B game, I'll have a few matches to get it going, and then I could turn it on the last 3 matches and win. Well, that's not going to work in the PDC because his B game is going to get blown off the board.
Right.
All right.
He would have to step up. But I mean, let me ask you this. Let's just talk about the demographics of the thing. If he really wanted to do it, he's never going to be able to bring his game up to that level unless he goes to the PDC and wants to do it.
Well, that's true.
And
a lot of these BDO guys, I'm not sure they're full-time players anyway.
Well, that's true.
They
can't be because they can't afford it.
Well, from what I understand of the PDC can support maybe 16 full-time players, not counting, if you're going to be able to, get out and do a lot of exhibitions. I mean, there's a lot of cross-sponsorship going on with all these guys. But if you just look at the prize money and how expensive it is to play on that tour, 16 full-time players, and then everyone else needs a part-time job of some sort or some sort of extra support, be it from sponsors or rich uncles or life of crime. I don't know.
Well married.
Bartending, celebrity bartender, right? Some of them used to bartend. I think Andy Fordham used to bartend, or somebody used to. I mean, isn't that the old joke? Never play darts with a day bartender or somebody unemployed, or never play darts for money with a day bartender.
Never play darts. Yeah.
Because they have nothing to do, play darts all day, right? Anyway, we're going to have to wrap this up, James. Oh, come on next week and we'll finish.
Hey, wow, I'd be more than happy to.
All right. I'll call you or I'll Facebook you during the week, but plan on coming on next.
It'll be Wednesday.
Yeah, we're going to do Wednesday again next week because it's we got a schedule thingy.
I have a work schedule for Tuesday that makes it bad.
Okay, great. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed it. Thanks for coming on, James. Thanks, everybody,
Thank
for
you.
listening. The website's darttalk.us. We're on Stitcher.com. We're on TuneIn.com. We're on iTunes. We're everywhere.
We are.
We're on
We're
YouTube.
everywhere.
We're everywhere.
Once every 4 weeks.
Right.
We're everywhere.
We're going to try to do it more often. It's just kind of hard these days. Thanks for coming on, James. Thanks, everybody,
Thanks,
for
man.
listening. We'll Dart Talk to everyone next
Thanks
week.
for having me, guys.
All right. Take care.
Bye. Can you guys even still hear me?
Yeah, hang on a second.
Okay.